Hey, what's up? Handmade Chinese style dumplings might seem like one of those things that you could never make at home. The thing is though, that it doesn't require you to have a ton of exotic ingredients or a ton of skill or a ton of time. Difficulty wise, we're talking about maybe a 6 out of 10. Payoff wise, ooh, baby. 9 out of 10, at least. To get started, into a saucepan, I'll combine 120 grams of water with an optional tiny scoop of egg yellow food coloring. Classic dim sum shumai are almost always a bright golden yellow color. Sometimes that is from an egg yolk, but it seems more likely to me that it usually comes from the yellow food coloring inside of the pre-made shumai wrappers. Next, I'll bring this yellow water up to a boil, then kill the heat, and then over at my food processor, I'll add in 170 grams of all-purpose flour and 2 grams of salt. Now, with the food processor running, I'll stream in my boiling hot water. Hydrating the flour with hot water here degrades some of the gluten proteins and makes the dough much easier to roll out without it snapping back. What we want here is a dough that is weak enough to be stretched at will, but strong enough to hold filling inside of itself. At this point, the dough is still a little bit too weak and would be impossibly sticky if we tried to roll it out. So to get it bulked up a little bit, I'll flip it onto my cutting board and then knead it by hand for 2 minutes. I'll call it good when I can give it a firm tug and it doesn't tear or shear. Now from here, I'll move this over to a bowl and then cover it so that the gluten can relax. I'll set that aside and then I'll make my shumai filling. For that, I'll start with 225 grams or a half pound of shrimp and then top it with a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. This soda raises the pH of the shrimp, making it harder for the proteins to bond together while cooking. Or to put it another way, it makes it much harder for the shrimp to get rubbery and overcooked, which is a real possibility with such large dumplings. Now, I let this shrimp sit for 10 minutes to change the pH, then I moved it over to a cutting board and minced it down with a knife. The final texture that I'm looking for is chunky but not broken down. I want to snap into whole pieces of shrimp in the final dumpling. Next, I'll move all 225 grams of this chopped shrimp into a bowl, then I'll top that with 225 grams of ground pork. I'm using 80-20 here, but leaner would also be fine. That's because next I'm adding in 75 grams of chopped pork belly. To make their dumplings super rich, dim sum places will use pure pork fat, but that makes them a little bit heavy and fatback isn't widely available in North America, but pork belly is. So I just chopped it up into pieces that are smaller than what I did for the shrimp because I don't want to chew on a big piece of fat. Next, I'll add in 75 grams of cooked shiitake mushrooms. To prep those, I dropped them into some hot oil in a small saute pan and topped that with about 30 grams of water and then simmered it all together. This water is going to help tenderize the mushrooms and keep them from drying out once we fry them. And once the water is simmered off, I'll saute these mushrooms for 1 to 2 minutes or until they're tender and just starting to brown. Behind the mushrooms, I'll add in 10 grams of soy sauce, 10 grams of Shaoxing Chinese rice wine, or mirin would also work, then 3 garlic cloves that I've scratched into a paste on my microplane. Behind that, 10 grams of fresh ginger that I'll do the same to. By the way, I don't peel ginger if I'm grating it. Then 10 grams of sugar, 7 grams of salt, 2 grams of black pepper, and then 10 grams of cornstarch. This is going to help bind the liquid in the filling and keep it from being too loose. Now I'll jump into the bowl and mix everything to combine. And once I'm there, I'll switch over to more of a whipping motion to develop some of the myosin proteins in the meats. This will help the meat stick together and form a slightly firmer, more sausage-like texture. This is very important for the structural integrity of the dumpling. Also, if you don't want to brutalize your wrists by whipping this meat, you can also just paddle it in your stand mixer for about 30 seconds or so. The final farce for these shumai should be sticky and heterogeneous. I want there to be distinctive pops of shrimp, followed by fatty pork, then earthy mushroom. For now, I'm going to keep this filling cool while I roll out the dumpling skins. But first, I'll quickly thank Catalina Crunch for sponsoring this video. Truly, I eat so much Catalina Crunch Cinnamon Toast cereal that it's become a problem and I have to throttle when I keep it in the house. In fact, Catalina just sent me a huge box of stuff to try and I immediately ate all the cereal, leaving none to film for this ad. Luckily, also in the box was 4 flavors of their crunch mix inspired by childhood nostalgia. I immediately went for the creamy ranch flavor and loved it. I somehow summoned the strength to save half of it so I had something for filming today. I also ate all the cookies that they sent me and I don't have any of those. Sorry guys. All Catalina Crunch snacks use clean ingredients, they've got no artificial flavors, and they're gluten-free, so Lauren and I can both eat them. We try only to keep healthy snacks in our house, and Catalina Crunch's products really are some of the best. I mean, this creamy ranch crunch mix, you guys, is just, it's freaking insane. To try it, just click the link below and use my code Lagerstrom to get 15% off plus free shipping on any Catalina Crunch mix pack. Try a variety pack that includes a selection of their best-selling flavors, or if you have a favorite, just order a 4-pack of that. Again, you'll get 15% off with my code Lagerstrom. After 15 minutes, this dumpling dough is nice and rested up. So I'll flip it out onto my cutting board and then divide it into 20 10-gram pieces. And once I've got all those cut down, I'll take a 10-gram chunk and roll it in my palms to make it into a tidy little ball. From there, I'll flour this dough ball very liberally and then take something flat, in this case the bottom of a little prep bowl, and then I'll press the dough into a flat coin that's about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters across. Next, I'll grab my rolling pin and roll this out. I'll push it until it's slightly oblong like this, maybe 10 to 12 rolls, then I'll turn it 90 degrees and repeat. By the way, I really like a tapered rolling pin for this kind of thing because it allows me to deliver pressure in a much more pinpointed, accurate way. One more 90-degree turn now, and then a touch more rolling to get the edges flattened out. And there we go. This is my handmade dumpling wrapper next to a store-bought version. Pretty similar. Why make your own from scratch then? Well, I find the handmade texture to be a lot more interesting. Handmade dumpling skins have a firm chewiness to them that's similar to fresh pasta. You don't get that from the store-bought. Also, store-bought skins don't have very much flavor. They're really just a container for filling. Now to shape these, I like to put all of my meat mix on a scale, tear it out to 0, and then scoop out exactly 30 grams. The scale should read -30. This allows me to accurately match the filling that I have for the number of skins. In this case, there's enough for 20 dumplings. Now to bring these two things together, I'll set up the wrapper in the corner of my palm and thumb, and then carefully tuck up and fold the sides while slowly pushing up the filling. Each time I fold this, I'm kind of pleating it so that it sits down nicely against the inside. And once I've got that tucked and folded up, I'm gonna move this dumpling down into my palm and kind of choke it to tighten the top. While I do that, I'm pressing down the filling with my thumb and also flattening up the bottom to make sure that there's no air pockets. A little bit more tidying up here, and that's that. A cute little dumper. I highly recommend making dumplings with a friend because it not only speeds things up, but it's a really fun way to pass time. It's like doing a puzzle or playing a game, but at the end of the puzzle, you get to eat shumai. Unless you're gluten-free, like Lauren. Sorry, Lauren. And like I mentioned before, this recipe makes 20 shumai in total, but it's easily doubled if you want to bust out a bunch now and freeze them for later use. You can steam them straight out of the freezer. Just add 2 minutes to the cook time. Speaking of cook time, to cook these things, I'll grab a medium saucepan, then drop in a little steamer rack. I got this one on Amazon and it only cost me about $6, and I'll link to it down below. Next, in goes about a quart of water, then I'll drop it on the stove. And if you're wondering, hey Bri, what about a bamboo steamer? Isn't that more traditional? Well, for me, that steamer is more expensive, the dumplings weren't better, and the process wasn't easier. You actually have to lay lettuce or cabbage or parchment paper down to keep the dumplings from sticking, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. Back at the stove, once my water's up to a ripping boil, I'll spray the tray with a liberal hit of pan spray and then load in 8 dumplings. You could fit 12 in here if you wanted, and I've gotten away with that, but 8 leaves plenty of room. Now, I'll set a 7-minute timer and check back then. 7 minutes later, these dumpers are cooked through and the wrappers are nicely tender. The internal temp should be at least 150F. Now I'll scoop these out of the pan and serve them right away. You really want to eat fresh dumplings as soon as you can because that fresh steamed wrapper is at its textural peak. It's supple, it's soft, and just a touch chewy. To serve, I'll dip into a 2-to-1 blend of soy sauce and Chinese black vinegar. I'll throw the details for that into the printable recipe on brianlagerstrom.com if you're interested. The flavor of these dumplings, you guys, is so clean. It's rich and fatty without being flabby or gross. It's briny and shrimpy and has a breath of fresh ginger and garlic. Another excellent way to serve these is with some spicy, crunchy chili crisp. Highly recommended. I really hope you guys try these soon, and don't be scared because you too can make a beautiful, wrinkly handmade dumpling at home. Let's eat this thing!